Hello everyone! Making a video today about this beautiful item here, which is the latest addition to my collection. I got this about, I think it was about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and it is something which I think is absolutely beautiful. So, we have a beautiful wooden box. The handles, I believe, are just like really tarnished brass, and it's got like little copper cartouches or plates here on the top, and then on the front it has little copper pull tab in the shape of a butterfly. And what this is a beautiful antique Mahjong set from about, I think about 1900, 1910. This is a classic Mahjong set, the type that they used to play back in the late 19th century, early 20th century. And the entire thing is handmade. The box is handmade. The handles are probably cast, and so I'm just going to give you a little tour. So I've taken off the front door, it just slides off like that. And then in here we have the drawers with the Mahjong tiles. So I'll just bring them out. Now, traditional Mahjong has 144 tiles. So just bring them out like that. See if I can angle this down a bit. There we go. And as you can see, there's all 144 tiles here. Just take out the last one. Now, these tiles are made in the traditional way. That means that they are made of bone and bamboo, and they are dovetailed together. These sets were handmade in China, and they're made out of cow bone and just natural bamboo, and they are very labor intensive to manufacture. The process to make just one of these little tiles is quite extensive. You have to get the bone, you have to clean it, you have to shape it, you have to bleach it, you have to carve it, you have to put the dovetail into it, you have to do the same thing with the bamboo, you have to join them together, make sure that the joint is firm so it doesn't come apart, and then you have to polish it, and that's the process to make one tile. A set has 144 tiles, and at the height of the Mahjong craze in the early 20th century, all things Chinese, all things Asian were very, very in vogue in the West. So manufacturers, craftsmen, artisans in China, mostly around the city of Shanghai, were mass producing sets like this with the bone and bamboo tiles, all hand carved, hand painted, the wooden boxes with the drawers like this, all handmade. And they were churning them out so fast for the American market, for the Canadian market, for the European market, for the markets in Southeast Asia, that they could never keep up. Literally hundreds, thousands of sets were being sold every week all over the world. And the demand was so high that China never met, for probably the first time, only time in China's manufacturing history, it never met demand. You know, these days China produces millions of everything and it's no problem, but in the early 20th century, turn of the last century, they were struggling to keep up with demand. And I mean, just think about, and that's just making the tiles. That doesn't include making the box. That doesn't include making like all the counters, the dice, all the tally sticks to keep the scoring. That doesn't include making the wind count, the wind indicator, anything like that. It's just, and it doesn't include all the other little bits and pieces. So they were very, very labor intensive to make, and they were very expensive in their day. So to make them as fast as possible, the manufacturers, I wouldn't say they cut corners, but if you wanted them to make you a really nice set, then you had to be willing to compromise. So like, if you wanted a set with really nice bone, then you had to pay more, obviously. In fact, in China, they were making so many Mahjong sets every single week that they actually ran out of bone. The population of China could not eat enough beef to kill enough cows to provide enough bones to make Mahjong sets in about 1920. The problem got so bad that America, where most of these sets were being exported to, actually resorted to sending American cattle bones to China so that China could take the bones, process them, make Mahjong sets out of them, and then ship them back to America so that Americans could play Mahjong. It's pretty crazy to think about when you really consider it. So, for those of you who have never played Mahjong, Mahjong is a bit like gin rummy or poker. Basically, the aim of the game is to form combinations of tiles, as you would do combinations of cards. These combinations are called melds. You need, I believe it's a combination of 5 melds. That is, or rather 4 melds and 1 pair of tiles to make a hand, and the hand with the highest number of points wins, or the first person to make a complete hand wins the game. That is Mahjong in its simplest form. There's a few things to consider when buying or looking for antique Mahjong sets like this, with the wooden case and the drawers and the bone tiles and everything. These sets today can be very, very expensive. On eBay, they sell for hundreds and hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars each. Whereas, a modern plastic set will cost, I've seen them sell for under $50, so that'll give you some idea. One way to tell the quality of a Mahjong set, apart from obviously just how well it's put together, is stuff like the bone and bamboo tiles. For example, something like this. Typically, the more bone content there is in a tile, the more high quality the set is. So like, you hold the tile like this, and this is like maybe 70% bamboo, 30% bone, maybe 60-40, something like that. Basically, the more bone you have, the more expensive the set is, the more high quality it is. Because the bone, like I said earlier, was harder to source. So if your set is like 50% bone, 60% bone, 70% bone, then it's more expensive. Another thing is that you can get sets which were not made out of bone. You can actually get sets which were made out of, for example, ivory. But ivory has, and will always be extremely expensive. So most people tend to go for bone. Bone is the sort of thing that most people remember from their childhood. You know, if you have like grandparents, for example, or great-grandparents, or parents who play Mahjong or who played Mahjong in their youth, they will most likely remember a set like this. So I'll just give you a little tour of what we have here. So this is the back. Another thing, of course, that you want to check when you buy one of these old Mahjong sets is that the case or the box is in good condition. I have seen a lot of these Mahjong sets. I have seen a lot over a number of years. And this is the first boxed set I've ever seen, of the ones that I have seen anyway, personally, with my own two eyes, in which I could reach out and touch, that is actually in one piece. Before this last boxed Mahjong set, antique Mahjong set that I saw, the box was being held together by elastic bands and masking tape. It was literally falling apart. If you took the bands off, the whole thing would collapse like a house of cards. So you really want to be careful about things like the dovetails and the slots and the grooves here in the top. You want to make sure that the handles are on nice and solid. You want to make sure that the back is not falling off like the last one I saw. That was just coming apart. It was like a broken egg. You want to make sure, of course, that all the pulls on the drawers are nice and solid. They should be nice and flat. And of course the drawers should slide out and in nice and smoothly like this. You don't want to buy a set with wonky drawers that jam, because that's a risk. You can break your beautiful antique wooden Mahjong box, and you don't want to do that. One other thing to be mindful of course, is the door. Now, most Mahjong sets, box Mahjong sets, the door just like slops down like this. Some sets, the door will tuck in like underneath here. You pull it out and you slide it in. That's a nice feature. Some doors will just like fold up over the top, but most will just come out like this. And you want to be sure that you can slide it up and down nice and smoothly, and that there's a bit of firmness there, so you know it's not going to like fall off. But yeah, of course Mahjong has a very rich history. It is the quintessential Chinese game. You ask people to name a Chinese game, a Chinese pastime, a Chinese hobby, most people will automatically think of Mahjong. I have played Mahjong. It's a lot of fun. I have not played it in years, but I used to play it when I was in school, and I had a lot of fun doing it. It's a great game if you want to like build up your concentration, if you want to have conversations while you play with your friends. It's good for that. Just messing around with the tiles, just shuffling them, building the walls, arranging your melds. And then the bit which I love is just when you have your winning hand, you slot the tiles all together, you flip them onto the table, and you have that bang when the tiles crash onto the table, and you can declare to the whole table that you are the winner. That's a lot of fun. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for looking at this beautiful Mahjong set. One last thing I should point out is, as you have probably noticed throughout the video, this set only has the tiles and the dice. It doesn't have any other bits and pieces. It doesn't have like the tally sticks. It doesn't have the counters or the anything else, the wind indicator. That's because this is a miniature set. This is like a 2/3, 3/4 size set. Ordinarily, a Mahjong set is, I would think, another third bigger at least. Most you'll notice this has 4 drawers here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Most of these antique Mahjong boxes will actually have 5 drawers, because the 5th drawer is to hold all the other pieces. It's to hold the dice, it's to hold the tally sticks, the counters, the tokens, all that, the rule book. This doesn't have that, but honestly I'm not bothered because it has the most essential pieces, which of course is the 144 bone tiles. And once you have that, you don't really need the other pieces to play. I mean, if you're a Mahjong purist, then yeah, maybe you will. But just for the casual player, for people who just want to have fun and enjoy the game, a full set of tiles and maybe a pair of dice is really about all you need. Anyway, that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And please comment, share the video, check out my blog. I've always got new stuff which I'm writing about, which I'm posting about, new stuff which I've collected, all that kind of, fun, good, interesting stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching.